Have you ever felt this as life is just cornering you, and there is no way out? If I was to tell you that in starting over was your biggest chance at reinvention? In this video, I will like to enlighten you on how, whoever you may be, it is possible to reinvent yourself anywhere, anytime. This could be as a result of a change in career or unfortunate events in one's life, or just being in need of change of perspective in life. Consider a situation in which at one point you wake up and find that the life you are living is not the life that you want to lead. It is something very familiar. So many of us live the lives that we find unfulfilling and boring. Regarding the subject matter, information concerning change and how to make positive change will be availed in this video. We will give helpful advice and true examples of people's lives that will encourage you to come out of the ordinary and embrace the shining future. Before you finish this video, you will not only believe in your right and ability to change your life, but you will also work in how to successfully embark on this change. Well, if you're willing to have a change and to start over, then be patient and wait for the next chapter. This brings us to the end of the typical self-archetype phase in this work. Your journey of self-discovery starts now. Of all the moments of life, they say, it can present you with all sorts of tests at the most peculiar time. Recently, one of my friends encountered a sequence of difficulties which could be hardly expected. The problem in the beginning was a family visit to Thailand whereby an illness from contaminated water was contracted. As if that was not enough, they were forced to shift to a new place to live in, but this came with even more health challenges. It is one of the best examples of how life will throw so much at you in a way that can unground you, but it's also such a chance at growth. It comes as a sharp reminder in every experience that, in the unstructured anarchy, level 1 allows for reflection and discussion. Despite these challenges, they came to know that such problems are not hurdles, rather, they are the pathway to a better life. Burnout and intense pressure can make it seem like one cannot cope, but these are exactly the settings when one develops the most. For instance, having made a lot of illness problems, they changed their perspectives to reflect on what is important in the world. Such self-reflection opens up a clear vision regarding the future and improves several dimensions of performance in different spheres of life. Moreover, these challenges highlight a universal truth. It shows that life is full of surprises. But that is how we allow the situations to change us, and that is why it is said that it is how one handles challenges that determine who he is. This is an extraordinary representation of how it is that a family transforms through disease and has change, to remember that strength comes from conflict. As they go on to their stories, one cannot but notice it is not just the experiences of a few people, but something that ought to be a wake-up call to anyone facing a similar problem. Talking about lessons, let us turn to the discussion of a larger topic, how people consume self-improvement content and whether it benefits them. As many of you can attest, the modern society is flooded with self-improvement materials, from inspirational videos to numerous self-help blogs. This information can be uplifting and/or provoking. Nonetheless, it is consumption-focused. Most people spend hours on social media platforms reading post after post, but they are not able to translate what they read into tangible actions. This can be compared to a person eating healthy food and understanding all that is required in exercises, but doesn't go to a gym. It was like that not long ago. This is an area in which most of us become guilty of. We consume knowledge, but do not seek the courage to apply it. But a better life, on the other hand, is not found in mere consuming the material, but in using the material actively in a given society. Picture someone sitting with an academic research on entrepreneurship but having no intent of ever beginning an entrepreneurial venture. Perhaps they captured quite nice ideas, but ideas are useless if not put into practice. In order to escape from this assimilation mode, we need to have a shift in the dispositions that regulate the practice of the self. While it is easy for the brain to receive knowledge, it is mandatory to push oneself to achieve certain action plans towards achieving the intended goals. This could mean giving a certain number of hours in a given day for practice, whether practicing a new skill or working on your own projects. If we integrate the content of the readings into our daily practice, then we will become CEO authors of this future and writers of our own positive narratives. Before moving any further in our discussion on this subject, we need to address the question of how people can maintain the correct ratio between watching and doing. And the deeper you go into the exploration of self-improvement, the more it becomes evident that it is quite important to at least make a push to do something along with watching videos. Some of us like to be motivated by speeches or articles we read, but the main thing is to act after such motivation. For example, when someone has just watched a video on time management, they should come up with a schedule of the day. To enhance that approach towards implementation, it is essential to go past the state of passive agreement. This proactive approach does not only increase performance, but also creates accomplishment orientation that will enhance personal growth. Further, realistic goals should be made to fit the acquired knowledge to improve the performance of the students. If an individual gets knowledge on investments from a podcast but does not open an investment account, then the individual never gets to gain or amass wealth. As many can attest, great progress can be made through taking it in small bites. This includes doing research on an investment opportunities or investing even as low as the initial amount of a few dollars. Such an approach assists in consolidating what has been learned and keeping every skill as an actualization of the knowledge in daily life. The question is to constantly bear in mind that each of one's actions bring about improvement in the quality of life and steps towards the future. Finally, we see that the process of the creative's formation is a good illustration of how the path to personal growth is not only in receiving data but in actively working with it. Therefore, it is possible to increase the amount of positive content in our lives and at the same time actively practice in applying all the tips and tricks that we come across. This balance does not only enrich our knowledge, but also allows us to write successful experiences with the destiny we are forming at the present. With this in mind, it is high time to consider how tools such as Headspace app can assist with time management in the middle of people's insane schedules. In the context of stress at workplace, challenging situations at home or in other spheres of life, keeping the mind and spirit in good shape can be a real trial. It is within these spaces, whether a physical room or the Headspace app, that people go to find ways to develop their mindfulness and to reclaim their emotional health. People nowadays are very stressed and they can use guided meditations, sleep, aid and mindfulness exercises to feel like they've taken 5 minutes from the storm and can recenter themselves and their goals. Also, there are various programs available in the app to help a person with their issues, whether it is stress, attention deficit, or just poor health. Thus, for instance, an individual suffering from anxiety could reap from particular meditations that would help them gain ground by providing them with a sense of stability. Thus, when such practices become a part of a definite schema and embedded into an everyday practice, people can build a good groundwork for self-development and work on themselves. This way, not only are the issues related to mental health effectively addressed, but also the users are enabled to deal with all the different conditions of life in a more energetic and perceptive manner. Mental health can therefore be said to be an important aspect in the development of the self. Media consumers are thus not left stranded struggling with self-help content alone, but are rather assisted and guided on how to take practical steps towards improvement of their psychological well-being by consuming apps such as Headspace. The positive outcomes of this approach do not only reflect an improved score in various spheres of life, but also we are guaranteed a future that is filled with possibilities. With this understanding, let us consider how these three elements of personal experiences that one may undergo: the journeys of personal difficulties, the experience of assuming an active role in one's life, and the contingencies of health self-care mesh together to form the paradigm for individual change and growth. As we have discussed the concept of personal challenges, effective ways for an individual's development, and the use of tools in the area of mental health, it is high time to apply this knowledge. Ask yourself, how can these insights be incorporated in one's own life? Are you prepared to pass the first phase towards a better existence? Remember, all actions, therefore, are in some way small, but it has been through them that you can start the work building for a better tomorrow. Think of what needs to change today. Will you take my advice and meditate, make a timetable for the day, or simply start working on that idea you have been putting off for far too long? It is recommended to interact with your goals and observe how your performance turns out. Self-actualization is the process in everyone's life, and every choice determines what is to come next. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give that tut and subscribe to this channel, and also ring that bell. Become a member of people who are interested in their personal growth and psychological health. We should pursue this discussion. In what practical way will you begin this week? As in football, there are times that one has to endure misfortunes in life. The tough are actually the heat that will make us rise again and become even stronger and even shinier.